Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you, Chair. So to address your concerns, Commissioner Rozelle, regarding trying to work out a solution here, the solution that was proposed in the overlay is exactly the thing that the neighborhood did not want. It's exactly no, we have gotten letters from property owners directly across the street. They were in our last meeting, and I'm sure they're somewhere in the record. And this 70% at 58 feet and 15% at 48 feet and 15% at 70 feet, that isn't any protection. That's exactly what the plan is. So there isn't any like benefit to the neighborhood from that overlay, which is exactly what the developer said they were going to build and drew the picture of. They're also already limited by the proximity, the residential proximity rule, so they can't even start at 48 feet. They have to start at 46 feet, 10 feet off the property line. So even though our overlay is weaker than our laws. And then to go to 100 feet tall, which they could do, they start running into fire protection issues when they get above about 60 feet. So the feasibility of them building a 100-foot tower to punish the neighborhood or to make their profit is pretty unlikely. So I wish we could have crafted an overlay that addressed the concerns of context and size and scale. But if you're across the street or you're 100 feet down Scripture, that 70-foot portion of the building is going to be very visible. It's going to be looming above the street. So we're not, the 70-foot overlay with the 50-foot step down and so forth isn't protecting anything. I think maybe something like a 45-foot flat overlay might be amenable to the neighborhood at the edge, like just barely acceptable, but that would absolutely not be acceptable to the developer. And if we tried to do something like that at midnight, on a Wednesday night, we may as well just not do anything and let something get worked out on the way to City Council when they have time to do research and do the math and figure out exactly what compromise they can reach and bring it forth to the actual deciders on this at City Council. That's why I think a denial now is better than a really kind of hastily crafted overlay.
I appreciate
Commissioner Rozelle.
Thank you, that information. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's my understanding that this zoning request is not tied to a site plan, so the overlay would actually protect what gets built.
Commissioner Taylor.
That is true, but it doesn't give any benefit to the neighborhood over the proposal. In fact, it actually gives them a little wiggle room, which we generally do in overlays, because we don't want to, whenever we reach a negotiated solution, we don't want to accidentally have something that is 1 foot too low and just kills a project that we have negotiated to the end. But we haven't negotiated anything here. We've basically designed an overlay that lets them do exactly what they want.
Well, I'm going to make a final comment, and then we're going to call for a vote and get on to our next item. I don't think it was exactly what they wanted. I think they came and did a neighborhood meeting with a project that they built in Waco. They did this project that was farther setbacks from the street. They did it with relief, with setbacks that were as far as 50 and 60 feet from the back of the curb versus right up on the curb. So I don't think it's correct to sit here and say that they've made no compromise. They didn't listen to the neighborhood. They didn't respond, and they just built what they did. I saw a very different building facade, what they showed versus what they originally showed at the neighborhood meetings. The second final thing I'm going to say is that the property that we're talking about, the historic and all this stuff, is a vacant assisted living center that has been vacant for many years, a vacant pharmacy building on the corner. There are old apartments all around it, and they're talking about building a building that's probably at least a $40 million building in our city. They chose to come build it here. They're going to pay taxes on it. They're going to pay impact fees on it. They're going to pay traffic impact fees that go to support all the roads that people say we need to get the roads fixed. And people keep bringing projects to our city like this, and this commission says no. And then we turn around and say we don't have any money to fix the streets. We don't have any money to do this. And these are the people that write the checks to fix that stuff. And so with that, that's my final comment. I don't agree with the motion we're making. I'm going to call for a vote on it, and then it can move on to city council. So with that, I'm going to call for a vote on the board, and we'll move forward and get on to the next people here. The motion to deny carries 5-2.
Chair, be recognized. Brief comment.
What's that?
Could I speak?
Sure. What do I need to do? I was fixing to do. Huh? I was going to step out and then let him open the public hearing. Is that not what I'm supposed to do?
Well, I just
Hold on
wanted-
just a second. I have a request from a commissioner to address the applicant, and then we're going to move on to our next item.
If you could bring this project on Stella Street or Eagle, there wouldn't be any overlays, there wouldn't be any resistance. And I know that you're challenged by what land is available for sale right now, but this isn't, we don't want business in Denton. This is not in this exact location.
Okay. I have got a conflict of interest in regards to item 5A. I own property across the street, or an ownership interest in real property across the street. So at this time, I'm going to recuse myself for a conflict of interest on this item, and I'm going to turn the meeting over to Vice Chair Devin Taylor for this item and also the concluding item. Yep. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chair.